So I want to make this video kind of because of a FaceTime conversation I just had with a really close friend of mine. So I was on FaceTime with him and we were talking about broken hearts and how he has this feeling of his heart being broken, and we had this whole wonderful discussion about what that does in terms of really feminine or masculine. But in this particular case, he is a masculine, or he is more predominant in his masculine polarity. Of course, we both have a representative of both the divine masculine and the divine feminine within both of our energy bodies. But again, usually you are more predominantly one polarity over the other. And it was just interesting in this conversation how we were talking about a particular experience he had with another feminine energy, and how, oh my God, my throat is so sore, and how essentially this experience of a summer that they spent together had really been on his mind this entire time, many, many years. And why would that be? And he had experienced, other women, other energies, and they just hadn't impacted his consciousness, his aura, his soul in such a way as this one particular individual did. And, we had that discussion about, what the purpose is, what could be causing it, and just really talking about as well his blockages in terms of feeling like he really couldn't reach out to her, and that being a fear-based perspective or an assumption about her current reality or how she would actually experience him reaching out. And, we also had the discussion about, maybe his feelings were a little bit stronger than hers, and how this feeling of some aspect of rejection has been a reflection that maybe he has carried into and layered onto other relationships that he had experienced. So the reason that I'm bringing this up, and the reason that I want to have a little bit of a dialogue in this particular video about this, is that it's really important when we are on our journey, when we're on our path of experience in this lifetime, that we really do some deep diving into each and every one of our experiences, as well as some delineation or some unpacking of what those experiences mean for us and what they are representing. So anytime your consciousness is holding on to something, usually that is something deeper than just a superficial aspect, okay? So it is something about that experience or something about that energy that your soul is trying to remind you of. So it is the depth of the experience, the freedom maybe you felt when you were in the presence of that person, the ability that your heart had in that moment, in that experience, to really open itself up and share your own expression of love very authentically. Because when we become vulnerable, it is a beautiful experience. It is in that surrender, in that vulnerability, we are truly showing the full breadth and emanation of what our heart is. And so what I was trying to do is remind my friend and counsel him a little bit about the fact that it can be, the experience itself may not particularly be about that individual. And at the same time, sometimes it can be. And you really won't know until you walk down that path, go down that path, see, what that specific energetic calling card is meaning for you. And what do I mean by this? Okay. So if we think of energy and we think of the concept of entanglement, there are energies that will exist between two individuals that essentially entangles their energy for a good period of time. Some of those aspects of entanglement will be So if you are dealing specifically with a divine counterpart or a twin flame, again, I do not like that particular word form, that entanglement or that connection is eternal. That is a bond that can never be broken. It will never be broken because essentially, if you are dealing with a divine counterpart, they are you, you are them. It is one soul that has split into two body forms to experience life in this separated or this illusion of separation. Now, also, it can be that type of energy or the reason that you are thinking about that person, that experience, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a person. Sometimes this is, very experiential. It's a place, it's an energy of being that you keep reminding yourself of or going back to. What that is your soul, your soul's recognition calling you towards something about that experience. And sometimes it's something about that person that is meant to remind you of what it is that you're truly seeking. It can be also compartmental in terms of, let's say what you experienced with this person was super fantastic in a certain way, certain aspects of it. You were really free, you were yourself, you could be completely who you were, and you never felt judged, and you actually felt really loved in that container of space. But there were certain aspects in that particular time that didn't work out. But then there was another individual that came into your life and maybe fulfilled other aspects that you needed to see in terms of what you're trying to create. Maybe they were very stable. Maybe there was no issues financially, and you had that ability to just experience life with a great amount of abundance. And then you start to kind of look at your life path and those experiences, and you are allowed to pick different things from different experiences and form this opinion of what it is you want your future to look like. You're allowed to basically make this list of what this love or this union needs to look like for it to be the right fit for you. So a lot of times it's about you coming home to, or you recognizing the true needs that need to be met in terms of your reflection, the expression, so that you can out express and experience everything you authentically need for your soul. Again, it is a very personalized journey. It's a very individualized journey. The other thing that we spoke about in this conversation was how incredibly important it is not to worry about what you don't have or to close your heart off. We said, well, maybe sometimes I close my heart off and I become a little bit jaded about love, or I think that my heart is always going to get broken. And what's really important about this discussion is the realization that when our heart breaks, or if we experience this painfulness of loss or losing something that we really loved and enjoyed, that's not the state where we should close our heart and become closed off to love. This is really the point where the heart can actually open more, and we can become more vulnerable through the understanding of how deep and powerful and how incredible a catalyst for change that the depth of that kind of love is. And that also this kind of love can come in many forms. Love is an energy. So it may appear and it may show up for you or be reflected back to you in one form, and then that form leaves your life. And then after a certain passage of time, you're integrating the lessons that you've learned. This energy of love will show up in another variance of form. And just like I reminded this masculine friend of mine that we don't know the future. We don't know what any other is experiencing in another body, in their mind, where they're at. And he was telling me, well, I think she's in a relationship with somebody else. I saw that she posted, real. And so, again, what I wanted to remind him about, especially in terms of social media, is that everybody's always posting on social media, usually showing the world how wonderful their life is. A lot of times, people are trying to convince themselves how wonderful their life is. I'm going to post all of these photos, these videos, making it look like I've really got it all together and my life is, fabulous because everybody else is. But just, if you have this desire to reach out to somebody and it's continually on your mind, what is the problem with reaching out to them? That doesn't mean that you are, being in disrespect of that person by honoring something that is calling you to take an action. And so often individuals don't take action because of fear. They think, well, it would be inappropriate, or, what would happen if I reached out to them and they rejected me? Again, fear. And what I reminded him about, because this certain, individual feminine energy that was still on his mind was from many years ago, I said, first of all, this is a beautiful thing. This is a beautiful thing, especially in the time period that we're in now, that you can have a expression or an experience of this deep, loving connection for somebody that you haven't seen in years. That really is showing you something. That's showing you that it was the energy of that person that grabbed your soul, that embedded itself in your heart. It wasn't a superficial exchange that happened between you two. And we never know the reasons or that divine timing for why something may happen in the now or may happen in the future. But reminding him that, he is now in a really different space. He is living on the other side of the world. He has really come into this place of knowing within himself. He's very grounded, mature. His career is taking off in so many beautiful ways. And he is a different person and in a different space than he was many years ago. And also reminding him that if he was to reach out now, the experience of their exchange may be quite different, and she actually might be very pleased and honored to hear from him. That door, she may not reach out. If he goes ahead and takes that step and she doesn't, it's not that the step or that momentum forward for him was wrong. Something within him, and it may have been a cycle, it may be that him reaching out again finally closes that chapter for him, finally makes him realize, okay, you know what, I've laid my heart out there, I've knocked on this particular door enough times that, you know what, I'm just going to wait until perhaps that energy knocks on my door. Or it opens up to a beautiful reality that had he not heeded that call to action that really keeps pinging towards his inner knowing, that, if he doesn't take that chance, he'll never know. So again, really the focal message, or the focused message that I want to bring, is that you cannot let fear dictate your actions. You have to be heart-centered in all you do. You cannot be afraid of what your soul is nudging you towards. And sometimes what is inside of you, this energetic chaos that sort of swirls around you, you have to experience it. You have to move through it. Sometimes you have to ride the waves of your own chaos to understand who you are. And sometimes those waves can be a little bit emotionally messy, but that is the fearlessness of moving through your being, of moving through the seasons of who you are. And I certainly don't want to teach that, in one's spiritual awakening, in one's knowledge of the self, there isn't, that everything is a quiet equilibrium. It absolutely isn't. And the tidal wave or tidal waves of experiencing the energy of love and the energy of expansion is highly dynamic, highly magnetic. It's not going to be a slow, boring journey. And also to remember that our emotions are literally our energetic body in motion. And when we are connected and connecting ourselves into the quantum field, I don't want to suggest that there's ever a point where we're not connected, but we can certainly block ourselves off to the energy of others. We can isolate ourselves from the energy of others. We can go into kind of this cocoon state. But when we start to reach out and emotionally connect with other consciousnesses, there are going to be, or there is in and of that, a powerful exchange of energies that happens. So there will be emotions involved. And so often I hear spiritual teachers teach about reaching this equilibrium, this peaceful state of almost, a transcendence where there is not a lot of movement, or there's a lot of stillness. I think that's the word I'm looking for. And that which is creation, the divine mind, certainly enjoys peaceful stillness. I'm not going to deny that. But it also enjoys the tidal waves and the movement of energy, the rising and falling of all that is, because of its dynamic nature. And so to only see divine creation and to only perceive that which is transcendent and of spirit or of source as only this peaceful, tranquil, almost sea of nothingness is also incorrect. It is the totality of everything. And it is such a terrible word to use, but source energy learns and evolves and enjoys all of it. It's not that it is just interested in this very peaceful, tranquil stillness. It also enjoys I don't want to say the chaos, but the intensity, I think, is a better word. It also enjoys the intensity that is created with that energy of deeply felt emotions, just as human beings enjoy the intensity of really deeply felt emotions. Some of the most beautiful experiences you will ever have, some of the most profound things that will transform you and change you, are due to the deep emotional undercurrents of self-awareness. So again, that's part of what I'm here to teach, is that it is not just this singular path. Yes, we want unification. Yes, we want to understand our oneness, our wholeness, our holiness, our completeness. But in that completeness, there is also an experience of everything that experience has to offer us. And part of that is that stillness, and part of it is that chaos, and part of it is that incredible depth of experience that comes from our heart space, our emotions, the things that pull us almost without our control in certain directions and makes us act outside of the safety zone. I'm always reminded of Garth Brooks' song "Standing Outside the Fire." We can do that. We can stand on the periphery of what is safe and what is logical and what seems to be the correct thing to do as far as what society deems as correct. But it is not until we experience the cataclysm of that fire that we really know who we are. We have to go through it. We have to be transformed by it. we are the story of creation, and we are the mechanism of how energy learns, and not just through the energy of human consciousness. This knowing and this knowledge, this wisdom is continually expanding through the experiences of each and every living being, that which is life. And when we start to remember this truth, when we start to understand the purpose of creation and the intricate beauty in which the system has been designed, we enter into this state of just reverence, just in, an awe for all that is. Just, yeah, it's not even something I can tangibly put into words, but you just see the beauty and the design of everything that we get to experience here on Earth, and it becomes so profound. And I always think that it is a little funny about, I look at my former self. I look at the versions of me that existed when I was essentially stuck in the matrix, when I was in the mindset of being so tethered to the material world, to my financial success, to what I had to look like, what I was trying to accumulate, what car I wanted to drive, my identity, how others saw me, what kind of career specifically I wanted, how I was interacting with family and friends, and just really everything that was outside of myself being the only thing that I understood, or the only reference I had to understand what I was. And when I finally broke free of that and realized that none of that was who I was, and none of that would really give me a really good grounding point for understanding my nature, is when I became free. It's when I started to awaken to my energetic nature, to my eternal nature, and to really understand some of the very spiritual experiences I had had my entire life, and really how I had perceived them in, more fearfully, or very fearfully, with this energy of complete misunderstanding of what the energies, or what those channeled messages, or whatever it was trying to call me back towards. So again, I kind of went off on a tangent a little bit in this video, but again, when I start talking, I never really know exactly what is going to come out. It's always just a free flow of whatever needs to be said. And really reminding ourselves that it is through opening our hearts and through this fearless energy of just being what we need to be in the moment, understanding that whatever we are seeking is actually seeking us, whatever is calling us and continuing to show up in our consciousness, it's there for a reason. It means that we have to take action towards it in some fashion, whether that is completely ending a cycle, opening a door, reaching out, whatever it is. We just can't ignore it. If something is knocking at our door, there's a reason for it. Okay, I'm going to wish you all a really amazing start to your week, and we'll see you in the next video.